This man bought a house that was completely abandoned and destroyed, starting literally from zero, and the final result was absolutely shocking. Just imagine the condition of this house when he bought it for almost nothing. It was basically a total ruin. This guy had always dreamed of owning his own home, a big one, but he never had the chance before. So he decided to take a risk, use his experience, and buy this house for the lowest price possible to see whether he could turn it into a livable home, or fail and lose all his money. So let's watch together what happens, how this house gets renovated, and see the entire transformation step by step. But before we start, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. The first thing he started renovating in the house was the kitchen. Everything in it was old and completely unusable, from the windows and the walls to the kitchen's foundation itself. So he immediately began the renovation work. He removed the existing windows, took out the kitchen base, the sink, and the stove, emptied the kitchen entirely, and removed everything inside. Then he went up to the ceiling to apply putty. This step is very important for a ceiling that needs restoration, because it levels the surface, covers small cracks or any surface defects, and gives a smooth, even finish. After that, it was time for the kitchen walls, which were literally useless, with no shape and no durability. So he decided to install large, water-resistant cement boards with a clean, beautiful white color. He applied adhesive to the boards and then fixed them onto the walls. Even the cabinets that were hanging on the upper part of the wall were reinforced with cement boards of the same color so the whole space would look acceptable. He then reinstalled the side walls and secured them with screws. He decided to leave the kitchen for a while and move on to renovate another area, the living room, which he opened up to connect with the kitchen space. He started with the ceiling again. The ceiling was a large square divided inside into rectangular sections. First, he applied putty around the outer square, then filled all the gaps between the rectangles, and finally painted the rectangular sections themselves. Despite the house being in a very deteriorated condition, there were still some things that could be reused, like this ceiling. With just a bit of putty, it did the job and ended up looking fairly good, which saved him a lot of renovation costs. After finishing the ceiling, he moved down to the floor, covered it with transparent plastic sheets, and brought in a roll of wall covering. He began cutting it to fit the wall exactly and then glued it directly onto the wall. He used a special type of wallpaper because it is lightweight, easy to install, hides small cracks and stains, and gives the walls an elegant, luxurious look. On another wall in the room, he installed wallpaper in a different color, designed to look like real brick, but in a bold and modern style. After finishing the walls, there was one section of the ceiling that needed another layer of putty, which he completed before moving down to the flooring. He decided to cover the wooden floor with cushioned flooring, which feels comfortable underfoot, is easy to install, and resistant to wear. It features a tile-like pattern that gives a strong modern look, with a subtle shine. The best part is that it can be easily shaped to fit the exact size of the space. After cutting and adjusting it to the room's measurements, he removed it, applied adhesive to the floor, then laid the cushioned flooring on top and secured it firmly, especially around the edges. After that, he brought in the kitchen cabinets, which were completely new. The great thing was that they were the exact same size as the old kitchen, so everything fit perfectly. He adjusted the plumbing, installed the first section, then installed the second section that included the sink, and connected the sink's drainage pipe so it would link properly to the house's sewage system. The house originally had tatami flooring, a traditional Japanese type of flooring made from compressed plant fibers. It looks very beautiful, but unfortunately, over time it had deteriorated and was no longer in good condition, so he decided to remove it and install new flooring. After removing all the flooring, he began cleaning the area and sweeping it thoroughly to work in a clean space. He then brought in a large piece of wood and started cutting it into thin supports, fixing them to the floor with nails. After that, he brought wide wooden boards, cut them to fit the floor exactly, and laid them across the entire floor on top of the supports. He used the same method to work on a large part of the house. Once he made sure all the boards were perfectly measured, he removed them to install thermal insulation boards. These were placed between the wooden beams beneath the floor, cut precisely to fit the gaps, and secured firmly. After finishing the insulation process, he brought wide plywood boards and installed them on top of the beams and insulation, fixing them in place with screws. He repeated this process across the entire floor. Honestly, in my opinion, the tatami style looked better and more elegant, and it could have been renovated in the same style, but in general, tell me your opinion in the comments. Which one do you think looks better? After finishing this part of the house, he moved up to the ceiling and applied putty, starting with the edges and then the ceiling itself. He then decided to paint the walls with a new coat of paint, beginning with the edges and corners before covering the larger areas. There was one section of the ceiling that needed to be replaced, so he cut a piece of plywood, installed it in place, applied putty again to the rest of the ceiling, finished all the areas that needed repair, and then brought in new wallpaper to apply to the walls in this part of the house. While installing the wallpaper here, he was very careful to make sure that the seams and the wall were perfectly aligned so that there were no gaps. This part, after being renovated, became really solid, and he achieved this using simple and inexpensive materials. Looking at the house from the inside now feels completely different. He got some plaster putty and started applying it between the wood seams. He had to use it before laying any flooring material because the floor needed to be smooth, level, and extremely clean. After preparing the entire floor and filling all the gaps, he brought the cushion flooring and cut it precisely to the floor dimensions with great accuracy and professionalism. He paid close attention to the edges and removed any excess. While working, he left small gaps near the edges because the flooring expands slightly with changes in humidity, and he accounted for this carefully. Just like he did in the kitchen, he fixed it here, applied adhesive to the floor, spread it evenly, laid the cushion flooring on top, and pressed it firmly. After this step, this part of the house was completed. Next, he moved to the corridor connecting the rooms, which needed full renovation. He started with the ceiling, applying putty from start to finish, then brought white wallpaper and applied it to the walls, pressing it firmly. After that, he laid the cushion flooring evenly across the area. After finishing the corridor, he moved to the bathroom, which required a lot of work. He began by inspecting the underlying floor and walls to identify all the necessary repairs. The floor was in very bad condition, but he started the work immediately. He removed the damaged sections near the edges, cleaned the floor, and, for stubborn areas, used a crowbar until all the old flooring was removed. He then cleaned the area thoroughly. Next, he leveled the floor with a trowel, brought moisture-resistant cement boards, applied adhesive, and fixed them halfway up the bathroom walls. He cut and fitted sections around the bathtub, creating a professional finish. These cement boards are highly resistant to water and humidity, protecting the area from mold and fungi, which is crucial in a bathroom. After finishing the walls, he proceeded to the floor, reinstalled the cushion flooring because it's also water-resistant and comfortable underfoot. He cut the flooring around the drain and laid it over the drain cover. Then he removed the flooring around the drain and applied waterproofing materials to reinforce the edges and prevent water leakage. He applied the same material to the entire floor to extend its durability, laid the cushion flooring on top, and pressed it down. He also used a blue tape around the bathroom perimeter between the flooring and walls, applied silicone in between, smoothed it out by hand, then removed the tape. He repeated the process around the bathtub and drain. The next area was one of the most difficult in the house, a second bathroom that was in terrible condition. The toilet base was full of dirt and debris, the wood was decayed, and the insulation material was ruined. He cleaned everything, bagged and removed the trash, and revealed the wooden floor, which was infested with mold and in very poor condition. He installed new wooden beams on the sides, secured them with screws, added cross beams, left gaps between them, and inserted real insulation panels to waterproof the floor. He created openings for the pipes and secured plywood panels over the insulation. Once the floor was completed, he painted the walls white, applied putty to the ceiling, and ensured all corners and gaps were filled to prevent humidity issues. He installed moisture-resistant wallpaper, pressed it firmly to remove trapped air, and cleaned any excess. He adjusted the silicone mix to fill gaps between plywood panels, sanded, and swept the floor. Next, he applied the cushion flooring, cut it to fit, applied adhesive, and laid it down, cutting around the pipe openings. He added cement board pieces over the floor, installed a flange over the pipe for the toilet base, and secured it with screws. He installed the toilet base and fixed it with screws, completing this bathroom. Then he started the ceiling renovations. He fixed the area above a large stairwell, installed a sink base, and carefully mounted it at the correct height to ensure comfort and proper movement. He connected hot and cold water pipes using strong fittings. He then moved to the cabinet, which wasn't badly damaged, but he refurbished it and added white doors typical of traditional Japanese homes, which slide to hide storage spaces. He also repaired other furniture, cleaned, repainted, and applied wallpaper to give the wood a fresh look, even on cabinet doors. After finishing all this, the house, which had been in a very poor state, became bright, beautiful, and truly comfortable. The work was done with precision and care, leaving no flaw. The living room and kitchen were transformed from old, unusable spaces into bright, functional, and modern areas. The kitchen was renovated using durable, easy-to-clean materials that also looked stylish. The living room became warmer and more spacious after opening it to the kitchen. The new paint gave a sense of cleanliness and freshness, and the improved lighting made the space appear larger and more visually appealing. The bedrooms and other rooms, which had suffered from years of neglect, were also redesigned carefully to combine aesthetic appeal with practical function. Light, neutral paints were used to brighten the rooms. Bathrooms were upgraded with improved plumbing and waterproofing materials to prevent future costly repairs. The sink and its surrounding area were completely renewed, transforming the house by 360 degrees. So tell me, what do you think about this transformation? Do you think it was done well, especially considering that not much money was spent and the renovations were not very expensive? Don't forget to leave a comment about what other videos you'd like to see,